Hi guys, welcome back to Adventure with Abigail. My name's Abigail and today I'm gonna share with you how to set goals in all areas of your life. In fall of 2019, I started doing this and it's a way that I set goals every single new year. And what I do is I basically look at every single area of my life and then set goals from there. So, first and foremost, I am a Bible believing Christian. And so there's multiple areas that I set goals, but one of the most important to me is spiritual. And from that, I kind of set everything else. So for my spiritual goals, I always pick something that pulls me closer in my relationship with God. So usually I pick a Bible reading plan or Bible reading topics that I'm struggling with personally. That would be some of my spiritual goals. Another really big one is that I want to take time to pray and to listen. And so one of my most memorable years that I have of me doing this is actually in 2020. I made this giant goal poster, which hopefully I'll show you a picture here. And for my spiritual goal, every single day, every single week of the year, I wanted to take time to talk with God. And I did what was called walks and talks, which is where I would literally walk my neighborhood, and I lived a little bit away from people, like the houses are spread out. And so there would be these long stretches where nobody was there. And I did that so I could actually talk out loud to God. And so my goal for that year was 52 walks and talks with Jesus. And I just said it, I set 52 because there's 52 weeks in a year. And my goal was every single week. But I also put a set number because I could be really down on myself when I don't do something. Like if I say, oh, I'm going to do this every single day. If I miss a day, I feel really upset. And so by setting 52 as like a number instead of weekly, what that did was I knew the goal was weekly. But if for some reason, some week, I was super busy or I was traveling or just didn't have, like there were plans that Sunday, then it's okay. I can do it later. And so I highly recommend that. And also then it made it a very measurable goal. Like when we think about goals, we want to make them specific. We want to make them measurable. We want to make them achievable. We want to make them relevant and time bound. And by saying 52, that is weekly, but it's also very specific. It's very measurable. It's very relevant and time bound, and it's very achievable. With that, of course, spiritual goals. I also wanted to read the Bible, and I picked a Bible reading plan. I believe it was actually that year. I think it was read through the whole Bible that year, and I used an app to get that done. And those were my spiritual goals. And I only set a few because I actually wanted to do them. The next area of life that I think people should have goals is physical. And so again, make goals that are specific, that are measurable, that are achievable, that are relevant and time bound. And I actually created a fitness log. I have a small one and a big giant one for tracking, for creating very specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound goals. And so here's mine for this year. I've already started. So I have my fitness motivation and then I have my goals. And I already have time-bound them. Like I created this book and I already have these time-bound goals kind of built in. And so my time-bound goal for 1 month is to gain muscle mass, go to the gym and lift weights consistently 3 times a week. That's very measurable. Like It's very specific. Go 3 times. That's a specific number. It's measurable. I can measure whether or not I go and lift weights at the gym every week. It's definitely achievable. It's not every single day. It's 3 times a week. It's relevant because I want to, my big goal is to gain muscle mass. So obviously if I go to the gym and lift weights, I will gain that muscle mass, and it's time bound in that it's 1 month. I have 1 month to do that. Some other fitness goals can be to drink lots of water, which I have on the daily pages, drink up to 16 cups of water, which is a gallon. Food wise is to get enough protein. I want to eat a high protein diet. Sleep wise, I want to get at least 8 hours of sleep, and you can see here I've been getting about 9 hours of sleep. And then exercises, I want to lift weights. Go to the gym and lift those weights for that progressive overload. So that's my physical goals, and I highly recommend that you make physical goals as well. The other area of life that I think is really important, and in fact, they were talking about it on Good Morning America, is mental goals, having mental goals. And the reason why I have my spiritual goals first is because I believe that we were designed to be in contact with our Creator, and that our mind works best when we're in contact with our Creator. And so a lot of times these goals kind of overlap. But specifically, one of the goals that I have for my mental is to meditate on what the Word of God says. And I do that in 2 parts. One, I think it's important to pick scripture verses to memorize. And then 2, I think it's important to actually think about what they mean. Okay, it's not just memorizing words, but it's thinking about what they mean. And I especially love verses that talk about either who God is or who I am. Once you accept Christ into your heart, you become this whole new person. And so I like to pick verses that either talk about who God is or who I am as a believer in Jesus Christ, according to the Bible. And so those are my mental goals for this year. I also think it's really important to set social goals. Okay, I am an introvert, but I believe that it's really important to gather in community. My sister had this really great way of describing extroverts versus introverts. Extroverts get energy from being with people, and introverts feel drained from being with people. And I think that's a really great description, because that doesn't mean that introverts don't need a social life, because they do. It's just a little bit more draining on us. So that being said, I think it's important to get all different types of social interaction. I think it's important to have time with your family, and if you're married, to have time with your spouse. That's just you and them. So planning, if you're married, or if you're dating somebody, planning date nights and time to actually spend with them. Also planning time with your family, being intentional, spending time with your siblings or your parents or your aunts or your uncles or grandparents, and planning that in and saying, you know what? Once a month, I'm going to go take my dad out for lunch. Or once a month, I'm going to call my mom and have a conversation with her. These are social goals. And so there's the family aspect, but then there's also friends. I think it's really, really important to have 1 or 2 close friends. And these people should be people that have similar goals to you and live a similar or your desired lifestyle, because we have seen over and over and over again that you become the people that you hang around. So it's important to build a community around you that has very similar goals. So if you are looking to make more money or be successful financially, find people either online or in your community, like your town, that people have been successful entrepreneurs or successful businessmen, and just hang out with them and figure out what they do, because we become like the people that we hang around. And then I think it's also important to have acquaintances. So people that maybe aren't in our close circle of friends, but they're still people that we know things about. That's how I would define friends versus acquaintances, is that friends, we know them. We know how, we spend so much time with them. We know how they think. We can have imaginary conversations with them because we know the kinds of things that they would say. Versus an acquaintance is just someone that you know stuff about. Like, you know their favorite things or what restaurants they like and what their job is, but you don't really know them. And I think it's important to have both, because the more people that we are exposed to, the better person that we become. And so I think it's important to have social goals too. And for me, that means being intentional with meeting up with people. Like actually making sure that you're meeting with friends once a month, and like I said, with your family. And that's how you make it specific and time bound and measurable. You say, you know what, every single month. And that might look like setting an alarm in your phone that, you know what, on the 15th at 6 o'clock, or the last Friday of the month or the last Thursday of the month at 6 o'clock, I'm going to call and then the person that you would like to get close to. So those are social goals. And then finally, I think it's important to have financial and kind of tied with that, vocational goals. So financial goals, I think it's really important to have a savings goal, an investing goal, and a spending goal. So I think it's important to have a goal that you are setting aside a certain portion of your income. And then I think that you should either be saving towards something specific, or you should be, it kind of goes hand in hand with your investing goal, and you should have goals to invest your money so it actually grows for you. And then I think it's really important to have spending goals. And by spending goals, I mean things that you would like to purchase. And these can be bigger purchases or smaller purchases, but just things that you're saving up for specifically to spend. With that kind of caveat of that is having educational goals, and I think everybody should get more educated with their financial goals, like in the world of finance, so that way they can actually be making themselves money, and learn how money works and the kind of systems that are in place to help your money grow. Some other educational goals that I've had in the past is, like, as an American citizen, I realized I did not know very much about how our government works. And so in the past, some of my educational goals have been, you know what, I'm really going to look into how does my state government work? How does my local government work? And it can be super duper simple. There are free resources like Khan Academy to help teach all these different things. And of course, there's YouTube to learn all these different things. And so I would say take advantage, like figure out something that you want to learn and then go ahead and take steps towards those. Educationally, I also wanted to learn Spanish because I live in a highly Spanish-speaking population. Though I don't come from a Hispanic background, I interact with Spanish-speaking people all the time, and I wanted to be able to interact with people that can't speak English, and so that was one of my educational goals. So I would also recommend that you would have educational goals, and that can be super, super formal, like going back to school or getting your associate's or bachelor's or master's degree, or studying and getting your GED, any of those. Or it could be something more like, you know what, I wish I knew more about American government, and you go and study how the government works. Or it could be, you know what, I've always been super interested in, for me, I actually have this weird pet passion for Greek and Roman history and culture. So when I have free time, then I look into that kind of stuff just because it's fun. But I think these goals have to be relevant, the R part. So it has to be something relevant to your lifestyle. So those are all the areas that I think a person should make goals. And I highly recommend, if you want to be a well-rounded person, go ahead and make spiritual goals, mental goals, physical goals, financial goals, / vocational goals. And by vocation, I mean your job. What do you want to do for work? And why do you want to do it? And educational goals. That's all that I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, drop a comment and I will be sure to respond. I know today's video was a little bit different. Next week we will get back onto full fitnessing and getting better in your fitness journey. Bye!